Hi everyone, Barbara Rankin here with another ColourArte video tutorial for you. First let me show you a few of the base pieces I'll be using. I will be decorating this journal cover from Eileen Hull. It has been cut from chipboard and I'll post all the supplies used below and on my blog. Next I have this layered bee die from Holtz that I have cut and embossed from both black chipboard and craft plastic. As I was embossing the plastic, I used a little bit of washi tape to hold the legs in place while it went through the embossing process. Then I die cut this REGAL crust from white chipboard that I may or may not use. Of course I had to use this honeycomb die. After all, no bee is complete without its honeycomb. Apply adhesive to the honeycomb chipboard with the XYRON 3-inch sticker maker. Add the fallout hexagon pieces too. I used my finger to burnish the adhesive to the back of the chipboard. Adhere the chipboard cutouts to the back of the book. I used a ruler with vertical and horizontal lines to align the second honeycomb piece up with the first. I think that looks better aesthetically. Next, I'm adding some of the hex pieces that fell out of the die, placing them back in a random fashion. Cut off any chipboard that's hanging off the edge. Prime the back of the journal with a coat of white gesso. Go ahead and prime the front of the journal with a coat of the white gesso as well, and use your heat tool to speed the drying time. Spread the crackle paste through the stencil, but do it in a random fashion so you don't have squared off edges. Spread more crackle paste in some of the open areas for additional texture. Let the paste air dry for best results. Mix the SIAM white and African jade together on your craft mat. I used approximately 4 parts African jade to 1 part SIAM white. I barely mixed it up and simply applied it to the cover, letting it blend on the surface. Place a puddle of the Bolivian Blue Vivid Ultrametallic onto your craft mat. The solution is an acrylic wash medium and will give your paints a watercolor-like effect. Mix some of the solution into a puddle of Bolivian Blue Vivid to make a watery wash, and then paint the wash over both covers and let it dry. Place a drop of the Royal Orchid Vivid onto your craft mat and use a foam makeup sponge or one of these blending tools to pick up the color and apply it randomly to the surface. Use a dabbing motion to get a fuller coverage. Cover both sides equally. Use the blending tool again to pick up Tree Metal's Autumn Flame and repeat the same process of randomly dabbing the color over the surface. Let this layer of paint dry. Use the Vivid Teal Zircon to continue layering the colors, and as you can see, I've pretty much done it over the blue sections. I'm going to use the African Jade Vivid to lighten up some of the areas I thought had become too dark. Shake the bottle well to distribute the mica, then spread the color over the background. If you see spots form, you can use your finger to blend them out. It just depends on the look you're going for. Use a stencil to add some more interest to your cover. I chose archival black ink with my blending tool to get these jumbled letters placed randomly over the background. If you use an archival ink, you won't have to seal the covers. And you'll want to do this to both sides. I've already primed each of these die-cut pieces with white or black gesso. While you have the ink and the blending tool out, this is a good time to edge the covers to add that distressed look and give a nice framed effect to it all. I've already primed each of these die-cut pieces with white or black gesso. I decided to use the label from the journal die, and the bee was always in the plan. Use the blending tool to pick up the color and dab the paint over the label piece, and then set it aside to dry. It will just take a minute. Pick up the next layer of color with the blending tool and dab it over the label. It's a good idea to dry the paint between colors. Now I'm going to lighten it up just a bit by adding the African jade to the label. This will help it to blend with the background, but still maintain a contrasting color with the purple. Now it's too blue, so I'm picking up some of the purple left on my mat to add it back in. I think that looks pretty good with the background. Add some of that black shading around the edges again, and I think that will offset the label nicely. I found these puffy stickers in my stash. I've had them for at least 10 years, but alphabet stickers are easy to find, so use what you have or shop for them at your local craft store. I went ahead and gessoed the letters I need so my paint will hopefully stick. I'm going to mix African jade and teal zircon on my craft mat and color each of the chosen letters. I can see now I will need a couple of coats, and I may have to use a knife to get them off of the plastic. I'm going to set the letters aside to dry really well, so let's work on the bumblebee next. I've got two vivid colors here, Mango Freeze and Ginger Peach. I'm going to be using a tiny number 2 round brush to apply the details to the body of the bee first. I'm using the lighter Mango Freeze to add enough paint into the debossed areas of the bee so that they will be opaque. This paint is pretty transparent, so I simply brushed a light, transparent coat over the entire bee body, which disguised any paint I may have gotten out of the debossed areas. Then I will also brush a tiny amount of the Ginger Peach into those debossed areas to add a bit of color variant. Let me show you what I have so far. Next, we're going to be working on the wings. Paint the wings with 2 coats of vivid African jade and let the paint dry between coats. I added the second coat off camera, and here's what it looks like with that second coat. Remember the second bee that I die cut from a piece of craft plastic? We need to cut off the legs and add a touch of transparent color to the wings. You may need to cut the wings a bit more towards the body to release the legs, but it's really quite easy. What we're going to do is we're going to glue that to the chipboard one, but we're going to make sure it fits properly, because if it fits properly, you see it will fit, the debossed areas will fit inside of the debossed areas on the chipboard. If I turn it the wrong way, they won't. They'll just slide right across. So make sure you get it going in the right direction. Okay. So now that you've got it aligned properly, the best way to adhere something transparent to anything is to use a glue like Glossy Accents. And the key to hiding the glue is to apply the glue to the entire area you're gluing down. I don't mean in this case to put it to the wings, just to the entire body section. If you just place lines or dots of glue here and there, it will show when dry. So apply the glue to the body of the bee, smooth it with your finger and remove any excess, then put them together. Once you stick them together, you may need to weight it down until it dries. I've decided to use glitter glue for the wings. I simply could not get any paint to stick to the plastic. Just apply a smooth, thin coat of the glue to both wings and let it dry naturally. Make a couple of bug eyes with any black dimensional paint you have. I'm using Ranger Enamel Accents. Set this aside to dry. After the paint and glitter glue dries, if you want to get a slight curl in your wing, just like I did here, I just took a small paintbrush, not a toothbrush, a paintbrush, and I'm using a low temperature craft heat gun, and carefully, as you can see, just running it across this. I just want it to heat up until it decides to kind of drop. Here it goes. And pull it out, let it cool, and now you have three-dimensional pretty wings. Let me see if I can show you how they kind of stand up. Get my fingers out of there. Let me show you this way. There, that's better. You can see how they kind of raised up there. Okay. So, getting back to the cover, I needed to name my journal. I came across this stamp from Tim Holtz, and I liked the idea of my journal containing all of my crazy ideas. So I used a Post-it note to mask Trust Your, inked crazy ideas with Versamark, removed the Post-it note and stamped just crazy ideas onto the label, and heat embossed with silver pearl embossing powder. I did not get a completely smooth embossing because of the texture I added by dabbing the paint onto the label, but as long as you can read it, I don't care. Let's finish up the cover now by adding our embellishments. I got these beaded floral sprays after Christmas when they are on sale. I picked the gold, silver, and pearl colors to use all year long. So I'm cutting a few pieces off and will arrange everything first to see how it is going to look. I have this tiny roll of foam mounting tape. I need to lift the label and the bee, which will enable me to push the beaded sprays under them. I'm using Eileen's Fast Grab tacky glue on the foam tape just to ensure my label stays put. I've already got the foam tape on the bee. I want to get the bee glued in place before I add the beaded sprays. All that's left is to shape the sprays and glue them in place. Use weights or clamps till the glue dries. Now that the glue is dried, here's a look at both the front and back journal covers. I will put the covers together and share some still photos and some close-ups. If you enjoyed today's project video, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel so you won't miss any future tutorials. As always, thanks for watching, and always take time to play.